Title: Brushes of Redemption. I was the kid who always had paint-stained fingers, the one who spent long hours in my room, lost in a world of vibrant colors, swirling shapes, and endless possibilities. My heart raced at the thought of becoming a painter, but in the eyes of my family, I was simply a dreamer, a foolish, naive child who would never amount to anything. My dreams hung in the air like the smell of turpentine, heavy and suffocating. Each stroke of my brush met with derision. "Why don't you try something practical?" my father would bark, dismissing my aspirations with a wave of his hand. "You're embarrassing the family with this ridiculous dream. You'll never succeed." My mother, usually the softer one, echoed his sentiments, her disappointment palpable as she sighed. "You need to focus on a real career, dear. This isn't a hobby, it's a fantasy." In one swift movement, they stripped my dreams of their magic, leaving me with nothing but a gnawing sense of shame. Each mockery was a brushstroke and a canvas of despair. I felt like a ghost in my own home, haunting the corners of my dreams while my family made plans for a future that excluded me. I could feel their eyes on me, judging, scoffing, and whispering behind closed doors. "He'll regret this one day," they would say. "He's destined for failure." But the fire within me refused to be extinguished. I made a decision, a declaration of independence from the weight of their expectations. With a heavy heart, I packed my bags and left. I was determined to prove not just to them, but to myself, that I was more than just their disappointment. I was filled with an unyielding resolve to chase my dreams. The first few years were agonizing. I found myself in a city that thrummed with creativity and possibility. But the struggle was real. I took odd jobs to pay rent, each shift a reminder of the financial safety net I had abandoned. I painted on canvases I could barely afford, my hands blistered from the roughness of the materials. Rejection letters piled up like the remnants of a broken heart, each one a stinging reminder of my family's words. "You'll never succeed." But I was relentless. I sought mentorship from established artists, each critique a dagger that cut deep but also pushed me to improve. I found solace in late nights spent in cramped studios, surrounded by fellow dreamers. Together we created, laughed, and shared our struggles, forging bonds that made the pain of rejection bearable. With every brushstroke, I chipped away at the doubt that had been drilled into me since childhood. It took years of grueling work, late nights, and countless failures, but slowly my art began to gain recognition. I secured a small exhibit at a local gallery. The opening night was a sea of faces, a cacophony of voices discussing my work. I stood in the corner, my heart racing as I overheard snippets of admiration. "This piece is stunning, such depth and emotion." It was intoxicating, the validation I had longed for. Months turned into years, and with each passing day, I climbed higher in the art world. I received praise from critics, my name began to circulate, and soon enough, I had my first major gallery show in New York City. The moment I stood in that vast space, surrounded by my paintings, I could hardly believe it. I was no longer the boy dismissed by his family. I was a recognized artist, celebrated for my unique voice. But even as success wrapped around me like a warm blanket, I couldn't escape the echoes of my past. I wanted to confront my family, to show them the person I had become, to prove that their skepticism had only fueled my fire. So, with a mix of trepidation and excitement, I decided to return home. The drive back was surreal. The familiar streets felt different, heavy with memories, both painful and bittersweet. I parked in front of our old house, my heart pounding. It looked the same, a quaint little home that had sheltered years of laughter and more recently, dreams denied. I couldn't help but wonder how they would react, how they would respond to the artist whose work had been showcased in galleries across the country. As I knocked on the door, a wave of anxiety washed over me. The door swung open, revealing my mother, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Is it really you?" she whispered, her voice trembling. She looked older, the years having etched lines of worry across her face. "I can't believe you came back." My father stepped forward, eyebrows raised, his expression a mix of surprise and skepticism. "What are you doing here?" he asked, trying to maintain his stern demeanor. But I could see the flicker of curiosity in his eyes. "I'm here to show you something," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. I pulled out my phone, opening up an image of one of my recent paintings. "This is from my latest exhibit." They leaned in, their expressions shifting as they gazed at the vibrant colors and intricate details. The silence stretched, thick with tension as they absorbed what they were seeing. This is incredible," my mother finally breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why didn't you tell us?" My father's question hung in the air, laced with confusion. "We thought you were struggling." "I was," I admitted, feeling the weight of those years. "But I found my way, I fought for my dream, and now I'm here." The words poured out, a flood of emotion that had been pent up inside me for far too long. "I wanted to show you that I'm not a failure, and not embarrassing the family. I've made a name for myself." In that moment, their expressions shifted. My mother's eyes filled with tears, and my father's hardened facade began to crack. "We didn't mean to hurt you," he said, his voice thick with regret. "We just wanted what was best for you." "I know," I replied, my heart aching. "But you have to understand that my dreams are mine to chase, not yours to dictate." As the words hung between us, a powerful realization settled in. A bridge between our hearts began to form. My family's initial skepticism had only served to fuel my determination, transforming pain into purpose. And now, standing in front of them, I could see their pride slowly blooming, like flowers breaking through the cracks of concrete. The conversation that followed was cathartic, filled with apologies and newfound understanding. I shared stories of my struggles, the sleepless nights, and the moments of doubt that had almost broken me. They listened, their eyes wide with a mixture of admiration and remorse. I could see the weight of their expectations lifting, replaced by a sense of awe for the journey I had endured. Eventually, the topic shifted back to my art, the passion I had fought so hard to preserve. I promised to bring them to my next exhibit, to immerse them in the world I had created. I could see excitement flickering in their eyes, the spark of connection igniting as they began to see me for who I truly was. As I left that day, a sense of closure washed over me. I had returned not just as the boy they once dismissed, but as a man who had carved out his identity in a world that had tried to stifle him. I had faced their skepticism, and instead of allowing it to break me, I had let it propel me forward. In the years that followed, I continued to rise, but my relationship with my family transformed too. They became my biggest supporters, proudly displaying my work in their home. My mother would host small gatherings, inviting friends to admire my pieces, and my father would brag about me to anyone who would listen. In those moments, I understood the true power of redemption. It wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was about finding forgiveness in the depths of our shared struggles. My journey had led me back to them, and together we forged a new path, a path defined by love, understanding, and the courage to embrace our true selves. As I stepped onto the stage of my latest exhibit, looking out at the crowd, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. I had come full circle, from being mocked and belittled to standing tall in the spotlight, my family cheering me on from the front row. My heart swelled with pride, not just for my work, but for the healing we had achieved together. In the end, it wasn't just my success that mattered. It was the bonds we had rebuilt, stronger than ever. I had proven my worth to myself, and in doing so, I had also mended the ties that had once threatened to tear us apart. The road had been long and fraught with challenges, but every stroke of pain had contributed to the masterpiece of my life, a life filled with color, passion, and the enduring power of love.